Hi, I'm Amy. I'm Keith's sister. He is busy scraping his hide at the moment, his bear hide, that he's going to use for a bedroll as he's camping across the Americas, which is pretty cool. It's been kind of handy. I'm eating all the bear jerky out of it. He oversalted it and I like that, so that's good. Keith came to visit me in Fort Liard here in the Northwest Territories over 2 months ago. I was like, yeah, you can stay for a couple of weeks. Oh, I see you have like a month. Oh, okay. Stay for a month. And like here we are over 2 months later and he's still here. Cannot get rid of him. It's a pretty nice place here though. Fort Liard is in the Northwest Territories right down the bottom, just 40 k's north of the BC border and also not far from the Yukon border. So we're kind of right in the little corner there of those two provinces and territories. So Keith came up this way to visit me. He came on his motorbike and that was all pretty cool. I was a bit worried. He had to go through a lot of like icy stuff and snowy stuff. It was kind of the end of winter, beginning of spring, where the weather is extremely temperamental. You never know if it's gonna be beautiful sunshine and hot or if it's gonna snow all day. So it was kind of a precarious time for him to come up, but he made it safely. So it was pretty exciting because I had to open the gym for the kids for soccer, and when I got back, there's his bike out the front of my place because I wasn't sure if he would get here and he had no minutes on his phone to be able to text me or anything like that. So when I saw his bike, I was like super relieved that he'd made it here.
And she gave you the wrong directions.
Oh, shut up. He just doesn't know that when I say left and right, he should just watch where I'm pointing, but I wasn't there to point, so too bad. Anyway, it was super exciting. He did make it and he didn't like crash on ice or anything like that, which was fantastic. And that night, super lucky, the Northern Lights came out. So he'd always given me crap about, you need to go to bed earlier, blah, blah, blah. But you don't understand this place. Like the times are weird. You know, you got really short days in the winter and really long days in the summer. And like the bedtime thing just doesn't really happen here. So you sleep late and you go to bed late. Anyway, he's first, and he's all like, I go to bed at 8:30 and I wake up at 5:30. You should wake up at 5:30 and start a hobby. And I'm like, so not gonna happen. His first night here, he doesn't get to bed till 3 a.m. because there's just so much cool shit to do. But for him that night, it was the Northern Lights. That was really fantastic. So the days are still long, but we still had nighttime back then. And really beautiful. So we jumped on his bike, took off up to the junction, just where our little town ends, and yeah, got to take lots of photos of the Northern Lights, which is a pretty awesome way to start your time up here. Didn't have to wait for it, so that was really good. Nice little bonding moment for us too, I guess, with our photography and such a spectacular natural phenomenon taking place above us. I've been in the Northwest Territories in Fort Liard for almost 2 years now, and I'm like the recreation assistant here. So I get to chaperone all the awesome trips. I've got to go like to various places around Canada, especially in the Northwest Territories here, also Alberta and BC. And I got to go to Alaska for the Arctic Winter Games, which was really fantastic. Just into Fairbanks, but it's nice to just be able to, you know, duck over into the States and not have to pay for it. So it was really good. Really fantastic experience here. The kids are amazing. They have changed my life in a way. But it's just really like cool lifestyle up here, I think. It's nice and easy paced, and you know, just wander down to the shops and you bump into lots of people that you know and just kind of friendly and everything like that.
So this is Fort Liard, and don't be fooled, I did have to ride a motorcycle through all this ice. It's about 3 to 4 inches thick on the road, but I made it. So today we're off to visit the community of Nahanni Butte. We're off to see their winter carnival. Now Nahanni's only got 80 people that live there and spends half the year cut off from the rest of the world. And that's the half during summer when their ice road melts. bit scary. The Winter Carnival was good. There was a lot of firsts for me. I did cross-country skiing for the first time, snowshoe. I was in a traditional drum dance, played some traditional hand games. There was an archery competition and a little air rifle competition. It was good fun. This is my sister winning her snowshoe race while I'm on. I was smashing it until I went to overtake and found out that as soon as you step off the skidoo trail, the snowshoes don't really do much for a 120 kilo man. I sunk to my knees and I did that a further 3 times. It's hard getting up in soft snow, so I walked back.
You look funny. You know it's on record.
So here's a more common mode of transport in Fort Liard. Our friend Dennis taking us up across the Liard River to go through the forest so we can get to the fire tower lookout. Pretty sweet view from up there. Because it's spring in Fort Liard, yes that's right, this is well and truly spring, the tracks for the snowmobile become a little bit bumpy and sitting at the front of the toboggan becomes a little bit dangerous. Another problem with the spring is the snowmobile trails become a bit slippery and it's very easy to slide off the edge into the 4 or 5 foot deep soft snow. I decided to go and register my bike in the Northwest Territories because it's a hell of a lot cheaper for insurance. I think only $280 for a year as opposed to $1,400 in BC. Now, the only way to do this was to get to Fort Simpson, and to get there we had to cross this ice road. So that was a bit of fun. You just put your feet down, use them as skis, and hope you land in a rut. Bounce your way along. Good fun. Turns out having a stamp in your passport isn't acceptable when getting a driver's license. So after a 3 or 4 hour ride, I've had to turn around and head back to Fort Liard. Because things had started to warm up and we were getting over 0 degrees during the day, the ice had all started to melt, and it's up to 6 inches deep on this ice road of water. Makes it very slippery. I couldn't believe it, I came a cropper only 5 or 10 metres before I'd reached the end. This looks a lot easier than it is. Every step I made, my feet slipped. Just imagine trying to walk on wet ice. Then try imagine lifting a 200 kilo motorcycle on wet ice and manoeuvring it up a hill. I couldn't get my licence or registration. I had a 300 to 400 kilometre ride in 5 degrees C. My boots were filled to the brim with ice cold water, wet pants, but it still didn't get me down. Look at me dance. But do you see that? I'd rather it was so big, I couldn't get it out of the hole. We broke the lure as well. It broke the wire tracks.
Okay, so as Keith goes around the Americas and on his journey, he is going to be asking different people 3 questions, and I'm going to be the first one to answer them. So, my favourite food is lasagna generally, and since I've come here, I've spiced things up a little. Keep it down there, Keith. Noisy business. Anyway, so lasagna, I've spiced it up a little bit. I'm now using cottage cheese and frozen spinach between my layers of meat and pasta instead of my traditional white cheese sauce that I always grew up with. And it just adds a whole new different texture to it or something. I really love it. But I guess my favourite food for here in the north, which I know that I cannot have when I get back home, which is super disappointing, is ground moose meat, so like I guess moose mince, and that's awesome on nachos. Oh my gosh, it's like having beef nachos but with like so much more flavour. And that's like one food that if I had a constant supply of ground moose meat, then I would eat it like every day. It's so tasty. It's like having the beef but just way more flavour and a different flavour. So it's kind of like I've seasoned it, but I haven't. It's just the flavour of the moose. So that's my new favourite food. But my lifetime favourite is definitely lasagna. I still love the lasagna. So the thing that makes me happiest in day-to-day life, and I've discovered this more and more about myself being here because it's quite an isolated place. There's 500 to 700 people here and we're 2 hours away from the nearest town. So the thing that makes me happiest in my day-to-day life is interacting with people, being like, not interacting with them, connecting with them, you know, so especially when I'm so far away from my family and my best friends and everything, to be able to connect with people is really important, because when I'm not connecting with people, it can become quite down. So that's actually what makes me happy day to day. So my biggest life ambition is exactly what I'm doing now, which is to live and work overseas. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I did an entire degree, international business, in the hopes that I'd get a job that would send me overseas one day, and that didn't work out. But yeah, that's all I've ever wanted. So I've finished that. Now, like, my bucket list is done, except for seeing a cassowary in the wild. I really still want to see the cassowary in the wild. I've only ever seen them in like zoos or wildlife parks. So that's my next thing that I need to do. But otherwise, I guess my next life ambition is to figure out what my next life ambition is to be. So I'm assuming that'll be in the career department. It'd be pretty cool to get into like behaviour management and special needs teaching or something like that. So yeah, working with kids in need, I guess. And I've discovered all that about myself since being here as well. So that's pretty awesome. Anyway, I'm going to leave Keith and his bear hide behind. I hope you enjoy the rest of his travels. He's been having a lot of fun. I actually leave this place in less than 3 weeks, so he will definitely be moving on soon, okay? I promise. All right. Thank you. See you later.